What you are listening to is real. The parties involved are not cool. They are actual geeks with a case pending in the court of public opinion. The party's case has been dismissed, and the dispute will be settled here on our podcast. There will be no lawyers. There will be no witness testimony. The judge's decisions are final.
Hello, I'm Judge Ivan.
I'm Judge Jonathan, and this is Geeks on Trial. Today's case, Tricks of the Trade-In.
Welcome to Geeks on Trial. This is the podcast where we settle petty disputes between actual geeks over movies, video games, board games, and more. If you'd like to submit your own geeky case for a future episode, you can email us at geeksontrial@gmail.com. You can also support the show over at patreon.com/geeksontrial for just a few bucks a month, and you'll gain early access to both our audio and our video episodes before they are released to the general public.
Only the coolest people do that.
You're awesome if you do.
You're not a geek anymore if you do that.
Right, you're downgraded to a nerd.
Everybody who doesn't submit to the Patreon, you're getting stuffed in a locker, pal.
You better submit
by this guy. That's right. Submit to it.
Submit. Do it.
Submit.
Submit.
We're talking video games. You know, it's summer. It's the month of summer. The month of summer has begun.
Summertime.
Yeah, it's a month, right? Summertime. Summertime. Traditionally, around this time, when all the cool kids are going outside and putting their shirts off and jumping in a lake or something, us nerds are staying indoors. Don't worry about it.
Have you only seen in movies and TV shows how summer happens?
No, I know how summer happens. You go to summer camp and you usually compete with the other kids and you hide your deli meats underneath the mattress. And when Ben Stiller comes in, he says something funny.
Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, when the cool kids are doing that kind of stuff and the Ben Stiller shenanigans, the nerds are inside checking out the E3. Now, E3 used to be, for all you Zoomers out there, the Electronics Entertainment Expo. Mm-hmm. Up until, a few years ago, they kind of got soft canceled during the pandemic. And
I've been soft canceled a few times.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
I think that's probably better than being hard canceled.
Right.
But it depends on the context. Now E3 is pretty much gone. As of this year, it really seems like it's not coming back. This is when all the video game companies used to do all their presentations and all their big announcements would come right in the same month. And now everyone kind of does their own thing separately.
Right.
But we have had some of that this year. I thought maybe we would talk a little bit about just the general feelings in the air. The video game news that's been spinning around.
And that really started with Nintendo. Nintendo was the first to majorly pull out of doing an E3 and they would just do their what do they call them? The treehouse?
Well, the Nintendo Direct is really what you're thinking of. The treehouse was the sort of a segment they would kind of do still as part of E3. And even they didn't exactly remove themselves from E3 right away, but they did make it they definitely started a trend of doing these pre-recorded segments that they didn't have to wait until E3 to do. And
I'm sure it was also a hell of a lot cheaper. Instead of renting out this hall, bringing all these effects and people and flying them into California, and just make it in front of a green screen, film in your home office, film in your home country, and that's how you do it. It's easier. It's you don't need the people there in front of you, and it wasn't like it was a general public either. That was mainly E3 was only open for press, I believe.
Press until the last few. They kind of experimented with inviting the public too, but at that point it was over pretty much.
Yeah.
Certainly much easier, much cheaper, and you don't have to worry about making mistakes.
Right.
You don't have to worry about, how many E3 compilations over the years are there of presenters looking stupid?
Of standing out front and the video's not playing. They're like, here's my video.
Or they play a clip from a new game and everyone in the crowd hates it or just doesn't care. You avoid a lot of awkwardness. You also, the unfortunate trade-off is, I will always remember classic E3s from when Nintendo would show off the new Zelda game for the first time.
Right.
And the energy of the crowd, of everybody so excited and cheering for that Zelda game, you don't have that anymore. So
No.
there is a loss. There is kind of a trade-off. It's from their perspective, from the company's perspective. There's very little reason for them not to do it this way. It's
well, and
easier.
also too with so back in the day, you and I went to a convention in New York. I think it was like Digital Life or something, and that was the only time we were able to get our hands on playable demos because Nintendo didn't have internet in a lot of their consoles, or a lot of these games were just so large that internet of the time wasn't able to download these demos quick enough or easy enough for the company. So when I think it was the original Wii came out, we played a demo game of, I forgot what game it was.
Yeah, I think we played some Elebits. Was one
right
of
there
those.
on the show floor, and it was huge
Yeah.
because we were able to get our hands on these games. But now you watch somebody play it on Twitch, or you get your hands on it via the download store, and there's no need for conventions like this for video games anymore.
I mean, we're also old and jaded.
Right.
Life isn't as exciting as it once was. I mean, you still have they'll do in-store kiosks like at Best Buy or whatever, and there's ways to do it that just I think they have realized over the years that the amount of effort put in is not necessarily worth what they get out of it.
And also for a company like, I don't know who runs E3 or any conventions, that has to be very expensive and a big gamble too. Because sure, you're going to put out millions of dollars to rent this giant hall, or in E3, I think they had 4 different venues. And then you don't know if these people are going to come and pay for a ticket.
Yeah. Yeah. It's from a time when marketing was much less, kind of like you said, internet wasn't as big. I mean, internet was still pretty big, but it wasn't so ubiquitous. People still had this attachment to in-person conventions and the idea of old school kind of marketing, and you put out a magazine with a demo disc in it or whatever, what have you. And now it's just doesn't really work that way. It's just, we put out a YouTube video. The people will find it in their Twitter feed or something.
Well, it's like the World's Fair,
Is it?
Because think about it, the World's Fair back in the day was a place for you to go see new technologies, and that's what these conventions were.
Yeah, sure. You're right. It's great. Yeah, you're right. So, but there are still organizations putting together right now these, there's the Summer Games Fest, which I think is the one run by Jeff Keighley. There's still kind of this movement where people are trying to generate buzz and excitement. Ubisoft did a press conference. Sony did a press conference. It still seems like in kind of this void of E3, companies have moved in to try to fill these gaps and say, oh, well, it's June. People, I don't know, there's some nostalgia for still getting excited about games in June. I don't know if you have noticed or heard any gaming news trickling out in the last few weeks, or if you have just been not paying attention to any of that stuff.
I don't pay attention until someone's like, you should play this game, or it hits the market in a video or an advert that I see it. I don't keep track of a lot of game news, but I play a lot of games. So you might know. What games are coming out?
Yeah, I mean,
what's coming down the barrel?
To my mind, there hasn't been anything down the barrel of the gun.
I'm going to shoot this game right in your face.
There hasn't been anything earth-shattering. Now, we are recording this. By the time this episode is aired, there will have just been a Nintendo Direct that aired, where we know
I think we screwed up.
We know you're spiking the audio when you do that. Where we know they're gonna talk about Pikmin 4, which is coming out next month. And maybe there will be a few other surprises. I don't know what those are going to be. But I don't think they're going to announce the next Switch or anything. So hopefully we're not missing some big announcement they have, because we just haven't seen it yet.
But we never know with Nintendo, because Nintendo doesn't release things when we think they will. So this could be the episode, the thing where they're like, Switch 2 is here. And it's what?
It could be. I doubt it. I would not bet on it, but you never know.
Right.
But there have been some cool things. They announced, Konami is doing a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 and a re-release of the original Metal Gear Solid games as well. There's a new side-scrolling Sonic game that got announced. You know, those can always be usually bad, but maybe
I feel like they always remake the same Sonic game over. Like it's the exact same game.
This is a new one.
Yeah,
it's a
but
new
I think it's always the
Sonic
same
game.
It's, you know,
rumors are there might be a new 2D Mario game. That's one of the rumors for Nintendo we might be getting. Like I said, we've seen some stuff from Alan Wake 2, which I'm excited for. Spider-Man 2. That's coming out later this year. Starfield is a big one from Bethesda. But nothing for me has been, I don't know, maybe I'm just like removed from certain mainstream video games are not necessarily my bag. I'm still primarily a Nintendo guy. I'm excited for a lot of the ones I just said, but I don't know. I don't know that I have like the same hype that I've had for anything in particular right now.
Well, and plus too, it's very oversaturated, the market. There's games coming in all the time.
Nuts.
There's, you know, and because you can download a lot of the indie titles and stuff like that, there's really no like, oh, I need to go out at midnight and go to my local GameStop and pick up a game, or, you know, there's not the gaming hype because we still have games that are like Minecraft that have been famous for like 10 years and are still very popular. And like the gaming market is very different than what it used to be. From where it was like we were mentioning before, Grand Theft Auto 5 is still a very popular game.
Yeah.
And it's been out for 3 consoles.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So like
games take longer to make, and in some cases they're more evergreen titles. We didn't used to have games that you could play forever. That didn't happen until Fortnite, until Minecraft, stuff like that. And it used to, and because and now games do take longer, but also it feels like maybe some of it is because of the pandemic. I don't know if there's still games that were delayed, so they would have been spread out more, because this year, especially the last few months, it feels like we've been just hit with a barrage of, a lot of the games are ones that I'm not into, but we have had like the new Street Fighter, the new Diablo, obviously the new Zelda. There's the new Star Wars Jedi game.
Right. Like a lot of AAA titles that are just hitting the market hard.
And a lot of them with bugs. That's another conversation.
Bugs as in like issues, or bugs as in like the creepy crawlies? Okay.
No,
this is the summer of spiders, ladies and gentlemen. This is the bug summer. You got to get your Ants Life game out and your Bugs Life.
Ants Life?
It would just be ants.
You just combined ants and a Bug's Life?
I did.
Yeah. No, that's fine. Yeah. They're pretty close to being the same movie anyway. But it's still kind of fun sometimes to keep up with that video game news stuff. And I like what they do. A lot of companies nowadays, the hype cycles have changed. Used to be you would hear about a game 3 or 4 years in advance. And I feel like a lot of companies have been doing more so these days. They're going to announce a game that comes out next month, or even surprise, this game's out today, and you never even knew about it. And that's always
now. Do you feel like this is a thing because like back when we were gaming, so like 90s, early 2000s, gaming was more of a nerdy thing. It was more of a hobby. And now it's more like you have literally a gaming device. Everyone has a gaming device in their pocket with cell phones. And gaming is now like an everyday thing, be it, the complexity of a game, like the Jewel games or whatever. But like, do you think it's just because it's everyday thing now? It's like it's mainstream entertainment as opposed to like the nerd culture.
Do I think what's because of that?
Like that we are less surprised by all these titles, or that these titles just come out as like, oh yeah, by the way, we have a new game that came out yesterday. You know, like stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe that's part of it. It could be. It certainly is more ubiquitous now. There's more ways to play games, and a little more like games that are out on multiple. There's not as much exclusivity of games, or if there is, the differences aren't as pronounced between the different versions of them.
Because I don't want to say it's like an oversaturation, but like it kind of is. But it's just because it's changed into becoming every day now. Gaming is like just always there.
Yeah, there is so much. I mean, with Steam in particular, there's just mountains of and indie games too are another huge part of it, because that didn't really used to be a thing at all, and now you can just have a million games to play every single week, and that's definitely not how it used to be. So
now, when you're given games as like a gift during the holidays or anything like that, do you ever like think to yourself that you want to sell these games or like try to make money on games, anything like that?
You just have too many of them, and maybe you
like
just need
too
to
many
get rid
games,
of some.
get rid of some. Maybe you don't like the title that somebody gave you. Like, would you ever sell that? Sell a game?
Well, I guess it is so. You ever see that show So Weird?
No,
The Disney Channel show.
I don't. What's Disney?
Yeah, I've never watched it either, but it is so weird that you bring that up, because it relates kind of tangentially to today's case.
Oh, really?
Like, it's not exactly what today's case is about, but it's close. It's close. Yeah.
I don't read the cases. I don't prepare. I just show up.
We all know. Yeah. We all know. Well, we'll get into it. Today's case comes to us from the internet. You can find a link in our episode description. Our defendant today is Tom. Tom is in need of some extra cash, as sometimes we all find ourselves in need of. Mm-hmm. And Tom finds a way to get it. And he finds a way to get it in the form of his friend, Isabel. Isabel has recently found herself in possession of a handful of Xbox games that she does not desire to own, because Isabel is not so into the gaming scene. And so, out of the goodness of her heart, and because she does not need these, she offers these games to Tom free of charge as a gift. Here, I know you like games. Take my games, Tom, please.
Why, thank you.
Tom accepts the games and then immediately turns around to trade them in to the local gaming store for cash. But now Tom is having second thoughts and feeling guilty. He's not sure if he has done the right thing in exchanging this gift for money. Now, as dual judges here on Geeks on Trial, it's our job to determine whether Tom's trade-in is a fair trade-off, or if Isabel should trade him in for a new friend.
Oh, I like that one.
Good.
I like that one.
It's good that we like our own stuff, because somebody has to.
Right. Right. It would be great if you guys liked it. Just hit that thumbs up button and subscribe and give us your money. That's all we ask for. Just
That's
little things.
all we ask for is the little
things. Robes aren't cheap.
So we get a new robe every week.
Oh yeah, I have a pot. That's what I'm sleeping on.
Yeah. Oh, they make good stuff for your mattress.
No, I just use it as a mattress.
Well, tomato. Now, we are talking about video games this week, and in particular, as was laid out in that case just now, we are talking about the act of trading in video games.
Of being traders.
And this is a thing that is we're talking about video games and the transformation to digital gaming primarily. The idea of trading games in for money may be a thing of the past within our lifetimes.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's really, more and more physical games are becoming less and less of a
Which
thing.
does upset me for a few reasons. One, I'm a fan of saving money. Some might call me cheap.
Okay.
But I do like getting a used game. I do, with the technology we have with Blu-rays and stuff now, it's a lot harder to scratch discs, so you're not getting that issue. So you can just save 10 or $15 on getting a game. If you just wait a couple months, depends on the company. Nintendo games never drop in price ever. But recently I forgot the game I bought. It wasn't a game that I was excited to play right off the bat. I didn't need to get it day one. So I waited a month, checked out my local GameStop, and they had it for $10 cheaper. So I picked it up there. You usually like to get games fresh.
Live that fresh game.
Are you a used game buyer?
Not so much these days. I feel like we maybe talked about this somehow on another episode. I don't know if it was about games specifically. Maybe it was movies or something. But yeah, I don't know what it's definitely an irrational thing, or maybe it is movies. There you go. Maybe it is from being a kid of, when it used to be cartridges and like you said, the the quality of a cartridge could differ a lot more.
Right.
But there is, truthfully, I think there is some part of me in my brain that's like, I don't know, some person was just playing this game naked on the toilet.
Right.
I don't know what they were doing. That could have been something gross was happening.
I have a question for you. How are you with hotels?
Oh, I trust a hotel.
You trust a hotel? Because people,
yeah, they're cleaning those.
Is that a Jim? That might be a Jim Gaffigan bit where it's like you won't sit in your house naked on a couch, but in a hotel, it's okay.
You know what I love? The Jim Gaffigan does when he talks about Hot Pockets.
Oh, he's the Hot Pocket guy?
He's that
Jim Gaffigan?
Yeah.
Huh.
That is a funny bit. If anyone's not heard
Good for him.
Yeah, go on YouTube, check out Jim Gaffigan Hot Pockets. You are going to laugh. I promise you're going to laugh.
And then my other issue with games being digital is this just came up recently. There's a game that I believe you bought me for a holiday or just gave it to me, the Friday the 13th game.
Oh, I gifted to on Steam. Yeah.
Right.
I think there was like a bundle where you could get like 4 copies for $5 or something.
Right. And so this game is end of life now. It was, it's an online game. You play against people, friends, or the computer. And the game is digital only. And they no longer have the license for Friday the 13th. So you're losing the game.
Right. It's gone.
The
servers are gone.
Which is the crappy part about that, because it's like, sure, I didn't pay for it. But like, if I were to buy this game, you technically don't own a digital game. So at any moment, if EA goes bankrupt and decides to close, you don't have that game anymore.
I mean, let me hurt you a little bit more here, because the truth is, any game you own digitally, at least on Steam and probably for most other platforms, you technically don't own those games either.
Right.
If you ever want to read the fine print on any of those, at any time Steam could turn off and you're out of luck. There's no guarantee that you own those games forever. It's all this temporary thing in the way our games work these days. And
you're just like technically renting it for a high cost, and
that's pretty much what it is. And yeah, it can, it's not something that actively bothers me too much, because most games are still, at least, I mean, I don't play that many online centric games.
Right.
So most games still you can buy and they will exist and you don't need to worry about servers. The few that do, it's kind of like, it's a risk that I'm okay with taking if I decide to take that risk. There is another thing about, even with single player only games, there's patches that may come down the line in updates. And for example, if you're a collector 10 years from now and you want to buy a used copy of a game, or not even a used copy, maybe it's an unopened copy or something of the news of an old Zelda game now, the most recent Switch Zelda game. But in 10 years, if they shut down their servers from the Switch, you won't be able to download all the updates that they later added to that game.
Well, I'm assuming that's big with like Super Smash Brothers.
Sure. Yeah. Think
like
about
you probably lose all those characters and
DLC
all the
for that.
Right.
You might not have the option to buy it.
Which is kind of crappy in a way, because think about like, we have, like you mentioned, cartridges that weren't connected to the internet. There's times where I'm like, oh, I have this box of cartridges that I found in my mom's basement. Let me play this game and enjoy something from 15, 30 years ago that you basically probably won't be able to do, or pass it along to your child, niece, nephew, whatever, and you won't be able to do that because it just won't be existent.
Yeah. There's definitely downsides to it. That's for sure. I don't think it's leaving yet, but
no, but at some point
I think there will always be, just like with records and even now with like boutique Blu-rays, like Criterions and stuff. I think there will probably not always, but for a long time be physical games, but they will become more and more niche and less mainstream.
Right.
But let's get back to what was the topic of this case? Trading things in and used games. Because, I was saying that these days I'm not so big on used games. When I was younger, I was definitely more about buying used games from GameStop and definitely more about trading games in. Now I'm much more of a hoarder / collector.
Well, it's funny too because like if you think about all the games that you've like traded in over the years, and then you look them up on eBay, it's like, oh crap, I could have saved a bunch of money on that. The only game that I thought about trading in, which I'm happy I never did, there's a game called Mario DDR, and I had it for, I guess it was the GameCube. That game I still have in my storage unit somewhere is worth a ridiculous amount of money if you have the entire thing. And I'm happy I didn't, because GameStop is the worst component of this, and this this whole thing will probably kill GameStop in the end. But GameStop would have been like, here's $17 for this game.
Yeah, they always rip you off, and GameCube games in particular are kind of notorious, I feel like, for being there. A lot of them are rare. They didn't print a ton of them. I have a few that I won't part with because I love them, that are worth probably like $200 or $300
right
a piece. But I really love those games. I'm glad that, and I remember like, oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I bought that used for $10. So
well, because you want to eventually go back and play it, or have the ability to play it.
Yeah, but no. So were you never really a person who traded in a lot of video games?
I did trade in games, but always like kicked myself for it the older I got. So like when I was like 10, 11, 12, I had a set, like I never got an allowance as a kid, but I was able to get whatever I wanted. Like if I wanted to get a new game, my parents would be like, fine, here is your like budget for a game. And if it was like a $40 game, oh, let me trade in this so I can get the add-on for it, or get the Mad Catz controller
for it. They have a calculator and like a typewriter, and they're like, we'll deduct that from your daily, your monthly budget with their little accountant's visor.
And then like you would go into GameStop and they're like, here, well, because at one point GameStop would give you more money if you were just trading in to get a new game.
You could choose store credit or cash, and they still do this. Right. You get more store credit than if you just want cash.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, they want you to put it back into their ecosystem.
Right. Now, did you ever sign up for the Game Enforcer card or whatever they called that?
Oh, I think I might have got their magazine for a while.
Which I think to get their magazine, you had to be part of the GameStop rewards or whatever crap it was called.
I might have done that for a while. I don't really remember, but I definitely traded in my fair share of games. I mean, at the time, it was often like, that was the way to get new games when I was desperate. Right. And sometimes those games were just bad. Sometimes now I kind of regret it. Or like, I mean, I remember one time going to the mall and not eating dinner that night because I used the money to buy a game.
Go get games. Yep.
So stuff like that.
That's called an addiction. You had a problem.
Yeah. I just had to get the new Nintendo DS game, man.
You go home and you're like, I'm hungry, and your mom's like, well, sorry, you screwed up.
Yeah.
Learn your lesson.
Now, trading in a game somebody else got. Now, we've all been in this scenario, especially, I think, with video games, because I feel like this would happen a lot with parents or older relatives, where either they would buy you the wrong game, or they just would go, oh, Ivan likes video games. Let me buy him the latest Big Bass Fishing or whatever. That you're like, I don't have an interest in that.
Which, that has happened.
Yeah, do you have any? I'm trying to remember. Usually my parents were pretty good about, they would just ask me if there was a game I wanted, but was there ever a game someone would get for you that you were like, no?
That was always interesting for me because like Christmas for me, because like I was so into technology and gadgets and cameras and video games, it would be my parents being like, just give me a list of what you want. Yeah. And you basically got that every year for the holidays. Like there was surprise, like, the parents throw in something that you didn't know you were getting, but like you basically had to know because our parents, I mean, you're probably in the same field, that your parents didn't know like what the latest tech was. They were like, whatever, here you go. Just what do you want?
Yeah, it'd be like very specific. When Amazon became a thing, it was great to be like, look, here's a link. Click it.
Click buy. But the only issue with those Amazon links, you could tell when they bought something or they didn't buy something because they would show if it was purchased.
Well, now that, when you put it on your wish list, it'll like tell you or won't tell you unless you click if you want. There's a system. Yeah. There's a system in place. Like
but I don't know. if there was a game in particular that happened, I definitely I was given the Big Buck Hunter or one of those games before, and I think I just kept it. Yeah. I was given a game, so I was always a Nintendo person. Later on, had the PlayStations. Somebody gifted me, it might have been an aunt or an uncle, gifted me a Xbox game. And I'm like, what the do I do with this?
And he didn't have an Xbox.
I don't have an Xbox.
Right.
Because they just assumed, here, buy the kid a video game. And it was video game.
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I ended up I went to GameStop, which I was at my local GameStop quite a bit. So I knew the employees there as a teenager. They just kind of let me trade it.
Yeah.
They just gave me, they're like, it's because it's the same money on the PlayStation as it was on the Xbox. So it's here, just take this, we'll take that, and have a good day.
Yeah, that's nice.
So, but I think that was basically it. I remember, I think I did receive a box of assorted PlayStation and N64 games when I was 12. And I just remember I didn't sell any of them. I just kind of weeded through the good ones, and I think I still have all of them to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm always afraid of what's the game I'm going to regret selling or getting rid of, or even if it's just for nostalgia or whatever it is. There's always that, which is definitely, it's a collector hoarder mentality or almost more of a FOMO thing of, right. I don't know. What if one day, you never know, when I'm 57 and I want to go back and play The Jungle Book on my Super Nintendo.
Right.
I'm going to want, even though I can just download it digitally or whatever somehow else, right. I might want that cartridge.
Are you the type of person that has fear when somebody gives you a gift that you give it away and they're going to be like, hey, where's that, that coffee mug that I bought you? And you're like, because that's me. I will keep any gift that somebody gives me. And 9 times out of 10, this more so is from family members, because friends, they know my active hobbies. They know stuff that's going on. So they understand. But from, that happens with family members sometimes. But I'll just pack it away.
Yeah, I don't think my family would ever even remember what they did or didn't get for me at any point.
But do you have that guilt? Because you would think so. Isabel gave Tom all these games.
Right.
Isabel shows up at his apartment, goes, "Hey, let's play that game that I gave you," and you're like, shit.
Right. Well, this is an interesting situation because Isabel, first of all, did not buy these games. It's not like Isabel was thinking of Tom. It was Tom's birthday or something, and Isabel said, hey, I've got some games for you. I picked these out just for you. This was...
Right, it wasn't a gift.
Yeah, it was. According to the case file, it was Isabel was given these games. She got them secondhand, and because she had no desire for them, she gave them away. So there's at least one layer removed here in terms of judging Tom, I think, because it wasn't a heartfelt, this is the kind of thing you'll like.
Right. This is your birthday gift. This is your Christmas gift. It just basically, here, I got this crap in my basement. Do you want it?
Right. On the other hand, I don't know, it does feel still a little bit insulting or even you're almost getting ripped off to be I gave you stuff I didn't need, but now you just have money and I could have money. I could have had money.
That's what popped into my head where it's you find out that you sold these. I could give me that money.
Right. Isabel could have sold those games also, but she thought, someone else can just use them.
Right.
Of course, if you're given something, technically, it's within your right to do whatever you want with them.
Right. But, some people have consciences.
Right. Yeah, that's not to say that socially you can or should do whatever you want with them, but at least legally you're in the clear.
You can, and technically, is it wrong? I don't know, because it's you're right. It wasn't they got you a wedding gift and they put thought and time into it, and it was still donating, giving something to you that, out of the kindness of their heart.
Now, I think there's also a factor of time here, because it's one thing if you've had a game for 10 years
Right.
And they're going through all your old stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm selling some old games.
Let's have a yard sale. Let's,
Which I did a couple years ago, and I'm sure one or two of the games that were in there were games that someone gifted me at some point.
I mean, they're mainly everything I've ever given you over the past 20 years.
Honestly, the things you give me, I just don't even know. I just throw them in a bin. Like, I don't even
I know you have a dumpster and it's labeled Ivan's gifts.
Yeah, and in parentheses, trash.
Well, which I go into that dumpster and just rewrap them for you every year. So.
Yeah. That's smart. But
that's why you keep getting the My Little Ponies game every year.
It's also not now he does mention two of the games specifically, which are Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2.
Did he mention what they're on?
Xbox,
like system-wise.
So presumably Xbox One.
So we're to assume these are fairly recent.
Red Dead
titles?
Redemption 2 it only came out on the latest Xbox, I think, which is Xbox Series. I can't keep track of all the Xboxes. All have stupid names. I don't know what they.
Yeah, I know.
But it's not. We don't know. First of all, it's not mentioned that if he has these games already or not. Because that's another possibility. It would be. I think it would definitely be weird if he already had them and didn't say anything to her and was like, "Oh, I'll just take those doubles and sell them."
And are we also to assume that Tom is a gamer? Because he might play games, but is he like the kind of person like, does he enjoy these two titles? Does he enjoy these games that were given to him? Or are they just, here's some games?
Yeah, I don't know how hardcore of a gamer he is, but I think we can at least assume he owns an Xbox console to play these on.
Okay.
So there is that. But
now, do we know, because I don't do any research, do we know if these games were brand new? So Isabel got these games.
These were someone else was, in this case, was moving away, left the games with Isabel. And so these are opened, presumably used games that she's giving.
So Isabel did the exact same thing that he did, but she didn't get money for it.
That is technically true. Yeah, you're right.
So somebody gave these games to Isabel, thinking Isabel was a gamer, and that they would enjoy this game box. And now she just moved them to a different household.
Yeah. That is true.
Isabel was just the middle person. She was just,
I think
she just held them.
A lot of this depends maybe on exactly the way Isabel worded this gift. Was it, "Hey, I don't need these. Do you want them? Can you do anything with them?" Was it, "Hey, here's a little present from me to you"?
Was it just, "Hey, I'm going to show up at your house for dinner one night. Here, I got this bag of games. Take it"?
I think probably the issue here is less so Tom's trading them in and more so Tom's not being upfront about his intentions. And that's, I think, probably why he's feeling guilty, is that he should have said, I already have these, or just casually like, "Oh, I don't know, I might play them, but do you mind if I just trade them in?" Or if you don't need them, he could say to her, "You could always trade them into the store and get some money for it." And then if she says, "No, I don't feel like it," then you're definitely in the clear, because she's giving up the right to do that at that point.
Right. She just wants them out of her house, take these, do whatever. But yeah, you're right. Because he could have been upfront, but now it's like, "Oh, I see these games. This is money. You're just handing me money."
Yeah, but I don't know if that necessarily makes it wrong.
No, but that's because, do you need to make your intentions with my daughter upfront?
I think if it were me and someone gave me these games, I would definitely feel a little weird about just turning right around and selling them.
Right.
It does feel weird.
Because if I owned said game, if I did whatever, I would try to turn around and either figure out how to get it so I could use it, or like maybe trade it in to buy another game. That would be a different thing. But it seems like they're not using this money for gaming. They're using it for other things. Because real life story, I was given a game, or it might have been a movie, and I already owned said movie. So instead of going to the person and being like, hey, you screwed up, I own this already, what I did was I just traded it in or ended up returning, like doing a swap out kind of program and just getting another DVD from that thing they got me.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like that's fine because you have it. So it's like you're not like getting rid of a gift.
Right.
You just had the gift in an earlier form.
Right. And if they come over, technically you still have it. So you can be like, oh yeah, you got me this.
But I do think if I were doing this, I wouldn't want to tell the person that I was doing it.
No.
And that makes me think it's wrong. Because why don't I want to tell them unless I think it's wrong?
Now, would you be upset? You personally, you give me a box of games, and then you find out that I sold said box of games. Would you be personally upset?
I don't think I would be so upset.
Right.
But I would probably not, like, if it were me and I had games I didn't want, I would either sell them myself or, like, I would make sure I wouldn't give them to you or another friend unless I said, do you, like, want these would you play these games?
Exactly. Like, you wouldn't just be like, here, just take these. I don't want them.
Yeah. I mean, unless I was like, you know, oh, I just know there's no way I can get any money for this, so I don't even care if you can get $1. Good luck. But yeah, I think I would be more likely to just clear it with them and be like, look, I'll get rid of them, but if you'll use them, take them.
Right. That's when you if you host an event, just have a table, be like, anybody want this stuff? Take it.
Yeah. And then, well, at that point, then it's like, do whatever you want with it. You don't need to tell me. I don't need to be involved after that point. So I'm sort of, you know, well, once again in the middle on this one right now, where I don't think that what Tom did was, again, technically not wrong, but there is a part of me that feels like if it were me, I would feel bad about it. And I guess I don't know is that feeling bad about it rational or not? Should I feel bad about it, or is that just a societal pressure put on me that doesn't really mean anything?
It is, but we also we live in a society, Jerry. We need to there's certain standards that you know, because if Isabel finds if I was Isabel and I found out that you sold these games, then I just wouldn't give you these things ever again. Because you know what I'm saying? Because it's oh, I can give them to somebody else who will actually use them and enjoy them. It's you know, when somebody gives a kid their old trading card collection and that kid turns around and just goes and sells them down at the pawn shop. You know, it's kind of the same thing where it's oh, well, I would have just hung on to them or gave them to somebody else who cares or would get enjoyment out of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I definitely I side with, I don't know. You're right. It's a split down the middle, and it's weird because I'm trying to figure out what side I would be on, but you know, do we want to do verdicts now?
I think I can. Yeah, verdicts.
Good.
Yeah. I think I can do it. I think I can put mine together. I think I have an opinion.
I'll go first this time just to break show tradition. So we're trying to say if Tom is guilty or not guilty for trading these games in.
Correct.
And I feel like Tom is guilty. I feel like Tom is guilty because these were...
Oh, sorry. Something just...
Oh. There's a fly. I gotta...
Yeah.
Tom is guilty because, you know, these were given to him. He wasn't straightforward with Isabel. He didn't say, hey, you know, I'm not really vibing with these games. I might just go sell them. You know, he doesn't necessarily need to ask for permission, but he should just be like, hey, these aren't my cup of tea. Do you care what I do with them? No, do whatever. You know, this could have been an open conversation because it seems like that's the kind of friendship that him and Isabel have, where if Isabel's just here you go, it's kind of like a back and forth like that I feel like Isabel would be I don't care. I just don't want them. But because Tom never said anything and never brought it up, and, you know, someday Isabel might be like, hey, do you still have Grand Theft Auto 5? I need to play it again for the 19th time. I might be a little bitter about not having a Grand Theft Auto 6.
We know.
But, you know, I would be kind of upset. All so right. I would definitely say, yeah, he is guilty.
So I agree with you that I do think he could have gone about it in a better way.
Oh, perfect. Okay, then we can just wrap up.
For me, I think the linchpin of this case and the thing that makes the difference to me is that, as we said, this was a hand-me-down of a hand-me-down. If Isabel went out to Target and purchased a game and gave it to him, then 100% he's guilty for just turning around and doing this immediately. Because it wasn't, she didn't like pick these out. She just came into possession of them. While I don't fully agree with the way Tom went about it, I don't think that he is fully guilty either. And so I am going to err on the other side of it and declare him, from my perspective, as a no guilty.
As a no tip?
As a no tip guilty, no tip, no guilty.
Good. Okay. Well, we are split here.
It's a mistrial, folks. And what that means is that both parties are going to get punished.
Right. Because we are an unfair and unjust courtroom. And everyone gets punished because we're feeling saucy today.
That's right. So you will be doing the sentencing for Tom, and I will be sentencing Isabel.
So I definitely think Tom, has to get everybody's hand-me-downs from everything. Clothing, food, video games, DVDs, and he has to be their storage. You know, on another episode, we talked about a comic book collection that was getting too big and maybe the couple has to get rid of the comic. He has to store that person's comic books as well. So he is now the storage for all the comic books and can't sell it. All these hand-me-downs, can't get rid of them. He must keep them.
All right, he's got to make use of them.
He has to make a YouTube channel talking about all this stuff.
That's going to be our punishment from now on. Create content.
You gotta be a content creator. You have to get in the same boat we are.
One of the worst punishments you can give anyone. Isabel, I think she needs to become a gamer. She needs to learn and understand the value of what she so frivolously gave away. She needs to go all in. She's going in on Dark Souls, the whole series, Elden Ring, Sekiro, and Bloodborne. She's got to get fully into it and devote herself to a gaming lifestyle to understand what it's like on the other side.
Forget seeing the sun for days. She has to go to E3 even though there's no E3.
World of Warcraft, and she's got to at least, like every day, she's got to have at least one bag of Doritos and one can of Mountain Dew.
I would have went a lot harder. She has to beat the E.T. Atari game. Beat it.
Wow, yeah.
That's an unbeatable game, I believe, or unfinished. I forgot what the lore of that is.
I don't know if it's unbeatable. I just know it's not that good. Well, those are our punishments for these two people. And I wonder where our audience sides, because we were split on this one. Do you think Tom is guilty or not guilty? You can email us to let us know your thoughts. geeksontrial@gmail.com is the place. And you can also go there to submit your own geeky cases, which we will judge on our show just for you, free of charge. All we ask is that you email it to us or use our handy-dandy form, which is located in our episode description.
And if you want to help the show out, which we would hope you would, you can head on over to our Patreon. That's patreon.com/geeksontrial. And just for a few bucks a month, you can get early access to all of the things that we do and potentially future projects that we'll do with this show. But if you don't have the money, fine, I get it. Some people have a gaming addiction. I do as well, and I don't want to trade in my games to host, help a podcast. You can give us a 5-star rating. You can give us a 5-star rating on whatever podcatcher host you enjoy, and you can give us that thumbs up and subscribe over on the YouTube channel.
All that stuff is good, and check us out. The episode description has links to all our socials, our TikTok, all that kind of garbage. It's really good. You should check it out. And as a little bonus, we are going to be appearing, both of us, together on the Codenames live streaming show, where we'll be playing the card game Codenames, Ivan and I as a team. This is the start of a week-long tournament. So we might be showing up more than once if we do well. But our confirmed first show will be on July 3rd. the day before July 4th. It is a Monday, I believe. I don't know.
Sure.
Check your calendar, and we'll be posting on our socials the exact time that it starts and all that. But if you just want to search on Twitch, Codenames Live, you'll probably find it. That'll be a lot of fun. So if you want to check us out over there. If you want to follow us individually, you can follow me on Twitter at Quentz. And you can find links to all the podcasts and YouTube stuff that I also do. Sign up for my newsletter if you'd like at my personal website, which is jonathanestis.com.
You can find me over at ivanhan.com, and you can find me over on YouTube, youtube.com/thesnackguy. I just reviewed that wonderful Grimace purple shake.
Let
me tell you, it's not bad.
I want
not
that
great,
Grimace shake.
But not bad. It's berry flavored, which I guess
that's
what Grimace. I wish it was furrier.
Get a cat.
Get a little, and like a cat. Well, could be like a Alf. Got a purple cat. Eat a purple cat.
Let's be careful. Just be careful with the. This could get into dangerous territory.
Demonetized very quickly. But one thing I want to say about the Codenames Live is there is a live chat room. So join us. Let us know you're watching and support us in that chat room on the 3rd.
Yeah, we'll probably plug it again next week because we've got another couple of weeks before it airs.
And on all of our social medias and whatnots.
Yeah, you'll be sick of hearing it soon.
You will.
But you're not sick of hearing us, I hope. And we appreciate
I hope not.
Your listenership or your viewership, however you choose to consume us. We like being consumed. Thanks so much. I'm Jonathan Estes.
I'm Ivan Hahn, and this has been Geeks on Trial. Catch you next time.